All right, everyone, welcome back. It's a brand new week. We're going to be starting on a brand new unit and chapter of our history book today. We're going to be doing the Black Death. And this is going to be, I want you guys to listen very carefully because this is actually going to be very, very, very important to your overall project that we've been working on, that you guys have been working on in science and in your physical education class and inside your math class. So pay attention. We're forming the foundations of that group project here today. We're going to come back to this intro video real quick. I just wanted to get you guys know we do have a Jamboard that I want you guys to be working on. These questions right here. Are there similarities and differences to the COVID pandemic? What did you experience and feel during the lockdown? What did you do to prepare for COVID? And how did the pandemic impact your lives? That's all part of this Jamboard session right here, guys, okay? So I just clicked on it. I want to see all of you guys logging into this Jamboard. You guys should be able to click on it from the shared Google Slides. I want you guys to get on that real quick, and I want you to answer these questions after we watch the video. So we're going to watch the video real quick. I'm glad the Jamboard session went so well. You guys had great answers, and I liked seeing how you guys were tying in the video that we just watched, even though it was only 11 minutes long, and how you were tying it into your own personal experiences. That's exactly what we want to do with this project. But let's switch ourselves back from COVID. Let's switch ourselves back to the Black Death. And let's look at our essential question here. This is, remember, our overall essential question for the project. How can we keep ourselves healthy and mitigate the spread of viruses? We're going to be talking about that today and looking at it from the context of the Black Death. Lesson objectives for today. Let's understand and research the Black Death, or bubonic plague, and its impact on the world. And we're going to apply this knowledge to the overall project. That's going to be part of your homework. So those are our lesson objectives today. So, rise of the Black Death. Actually, while we're doing this, we actually have realized that this pandemic, this virus, actually started in Kyrgyzstan. They just had archaeological remains dug up that prove that it started there. So that's actually pretty cool. That actually literally happened 2 days ago. So we're living in a great part of the time, or in a great time where they're starting to find out new things about this. But it appears in Kyrgyzstan, and it begins to spread out, radiate like, ripples in a pond. It just starts to spread out from Kyrgyzstan, which is right here on this map. And it starts to go out here into Asia, here into the Middle East, and then eventually pushes into Europe. And it first starts going into China. China and the Middle East are what realize the impact of this virus first. And it moves along these trade routes that have been established, remember, because of the Mongol invasion and the linking of the Far East with Europe. So it starts to follow these trade routes and move throughout the known world into Africa and beyond. What happens is what it appears as buboes. Those are the sores, and you remember that from the movie. Those are the sores that appear on the body, and they would appear in the armpits, along the neck or the throat, in the groin area, and you'd see these huge, disgusting looking things appear on the body. And as soon as those appear, within a week, that person's going to be dead. There's vomiting, there's fever, there's diarrhea accompanied with this, headache. All of these things accompany this, and so you begin to see this start to spread out. And at first, people don't really know what's happening, and then, as like the movie stated, it just starts to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It hits all these different cities, and beginning soon enough, it's spreading all over the world. And treatments were very, very, rustic, very simplistic, and not very well proven. We talked about bloodletting. They talked about bloodletting in the video where you would let blood, because the thought was that there was bad blood in your body, and that's what they need to get rid of. So they would cut you open, let bad blood out, and so the good blood remained, which didn't really do anything, and honestly probably killed the person faster. You'd have leeches. This was sort of the same deal. Put leeches on your body, they drink out the bad blood. Vinegar, which kind of worked. Vinegar is actually kind of an antiseptic, antibiotic. And so it does kind of get rid of germs. And so they would treat the wounds by coating themselves in vinegar, or like coating the buboes in vinegar. And it kind of worked. It kind of didn't. But it worked to a point. And you kind of saw people that use this sort of method actually not die. Onions was another thing. They would put the onions, remember, on the buboes. You had fire. They surrounded the Pope actually with a ring of fire. Yes, like the Johnny Cash song, Ring of Fire. And that kept, rats and fleas from getting in there, which obviously kept him healthy. And that's how he survived. Snakes were used in China. They thought snakes had healing properties. And then in Europe, they thought, well, snakes are evil, right? Story of the Bible. Led Adam and Eve astray. So If we take the evil snake and put it on the evil sword, then the two evils are going to negate each other, and then guess what? We're going to be cured. And it didn't really work that way, but that's what they thought would happen. The last one is alicorn, which is probably like the funniest one. They like, what happens if we take unicorn horn, grind it up into powder, and then drink that? That'll probably help things, right? Yeah, except there's no such thing as unicorns, and they were grinding up narwhal and rhinoceros horns, and it didn't work at all. But that was a treatment that they used. The one that probably worked the best was probably the fire and the vinegar. Fire, get rid of the actual things, get rid of the germs, burn them up, burn up the actual virus, burn away anything that would get you sick. And then the vinegar, yeah, it's an antiseptic. It cleans the germs away as well. So those methods actually work. They didn't realize that's what it was, but it actually worked. And we looked at the aftermath of this pandemic, right? About 40 to 65% of Europe is killed, depending on who you ask and the historian that you study. A lot of people died. 33% of the world population dies off. Whole towns and cities are just wiped completely off the map. Remember, they talked about Florence, Italy? They lost about 80% of their population. It didn't happen everywhere, right? Poland was a bit of a special case. Milan in Italy was a special case. Brussels in Belgium. But for the most part, this hit everywhere and killed a lot of people. And the aftermath of this as well, not only did you see a lot of people die, you saw a reshaping in medical knowledge. People started to go, wait, maybe there's more to disease than we were actually initially thinking. They start to study it more, which then drives a wedge between science and religion, right? The Christian church had such a grasp on Europe. They're like, no, this is all spiritual. This is all God. And while maybe sometimes, yes, it was, science still could help. And what the church wanted, though, was they wanted that grasp on humanity. And so it drove a wedge between science and religion. And it actually solidified nationalism. You saw countries, people groups start to band together to survive. And that was all part of this. So I want you to think about this, right? We're getting into our project. Think about how the treatments and how the effects of the Black Death had an impact on people, and think about that nowadays. Put that into modern day terms. What would happen if that rose up, right? If you're trying to educate people on the rise of a virus, how would you do it? Think about how they did it here in the Middle East. In the Middle Ages. And so we're going to end with this little slide. What can you do to prevent viruses? Obviously, Smokey the Bear didn't say that, but think about it. What can you do to prevent viruses explicitly, and how could you do it with the knowledge that you've just learned from this lesson? So thank you very much.